In this video, I will give you guys the astrology predictions that will guide the best investments for the rest of this decade, such as fintech in January of 2027, or health in May of 2027, or even mining in 2028. You see, back at the start of this decade, I produced my decade cheat sheet, in which I predicted the leading investments for this decade, such as the housing would enter into a bubble just in the middle of the COVID lockdowns, or the crypto bubble, gold and silver. I even predicted a stock market and AI bubble at a time that the world was going into lockdown, the rise of India, and a major commodities boom. And they all did really well, but you'll notice how many of these predictions end in 2026. And that's because I was predicting that 2026 would be a very difficult year with a market crash, political chaos, and maybe even a new virus. And in this video, I will help you get ahead of the 2026 market crash and also get you guys ready for the boom industries that happen afterwards by updating my 20s decade cheat sheet. Hey guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry, where we help you navigate your life by predicting world events, life cycles, and finances. My name is Sulabh Jain, and in this video, we're going to have a look at the energy around the world for the rest of this decade. But before we look into the future, let's actually go back into the past. I want to show you guys a snippet of a video I made at the start of this decade where I actually produced this cheat sheet. I think you'll get a laugh out of this. And more or less, this is a video that I was wanting to make really at the start of this decade. Oh God, it sounds strange even calling the 20s a decade. So I tend to think of the 1920s whenever someone says 20s. But anyway, putting all that to one side, I want to give you guys basically the snapshot of what I think is going to be happening throughout the rest of this decade. So this is the cheat sheet for the 2020s. And the first 3 years of this decade are basically going to be like a seesaw effect. You'll have 1 year of pessimism, which was 2020, the COVID year. You'll have 1 year of optimism, which is the year just ending now. And then next year, 2022, is going to be a year of pessimism. But then once we get into 2023, into 2026, we're going to have 4 years of extreme optimism. There'll be lots of bubbles, lots of markets going up everywhere. Then at the end of 2026 and into 2027, it's going to be a disaster of a year. I mean, everything's going to be crashing, everyone's going to be screaming end of the world and that type of thing. And in my opinion, looking at it, what I think is going to develop into that situation later on, it's probably going to end up being one of the worst financial disasters of our lifetimes. Worse than the GFC, worse than the dot-com crash, worse than the COVID crash and everything else. So part of what I'm trying to do is spend the next 5 years to prepare you guys for that bigger disaster down the track. We have some good years before we get to the bad stuff, so we got to use this time wisely in order to prepare. But then after that point, 2028 to 2030, I'm predicting a new global war. And we'll try and navigate you guys through that period as well later on. But in the immediate, I'd say, future, we've got to get you guys through 2022 first. And during this time, there are a couple different areas that I think will be booming. You guys know my predictions on the housing bubble. That should continue through most of this period of optimism that we're expecting. The crypto bubble is still going on, and I know it's gone down over the last week or two, so we'll look at some charts in a minute just to show you guys where I think this one's heading. But there's an immediate crypto bubble I think that's going to happen, then burst, and then it'll blow up again before the end of 2026. So we've got that money-making opportunity as well. There should be a gold and silver bubble, and I've been wrong on this for most of this year, so I'm not giving up on gold and silver, but I do want to talk about that. Hopefully after the Ketu transit takes place next year, this bubble will start to inflate as well. We're also expecting a stock market bubble, and that's generally throughout the world. People will be talking about, COVID being in the rearview mirror, and everyone's going to be buying stocks again, and it's all going to start going up before that big crash. The AI bubble is one I'm specifically predicting. That's going to be incredible. And one thing I'm hoping to do over this Christmas, New Year's period is actually make a lot of videos about the CEOs of tech companies that I think will benefit from that boom. The other bubble I think is going to be starting is the India bubble, which you guys know about, and also the commodities bubble. And that's kind of already underway right now. And so that's how this decade cheat sheet came to be. What I'd like to do now is update this with the best investment ideas I think will happen over the rest of this decade. And the first energy I'm looking at here is a boom in the health tech industry starting in May of 2027. Remember, I'm also predicting a new virus or a new disease in the world in late 2026. And I think health tech is going to be one of the beneficiaries of that disease. I also believe that there's going to be a major rise in fintech, which includes financial technology stocks, it includes financial cryptocurrencies, and also finance AI. And that's going to start in January of 2027. You see, in October of 2026, as Ketu goes into Cancer, it's going to create a big stock market crash. At exactly the same time, Rahu is going to go into Capricorn, and that will inflate the financial industry. So in the aftermath of that crash, I think there's going to be a lot of money printing, and fintech stocks are going to do incredibly well. And I also believe there'll be a big rise in defense stocks in early 2028. Shortly thereafter, I'm expecting a mining boom to begin in 2028. Now you'll notice I'm not saying a commodities boom. Commodities will go up generally as inflation grows up with all this money printing I'm expecting to happen after the crash of 2026. However, with mining specifically, I'm looking at mining companies doing exceptionally well, better even than the commodities that they mine. And then I'm expecting a second real estate boom to begin approximately in April of 2028. Now in a previous video that I made, I talked about a real estate crash happening in late 2026. And if you were looking at buying, to do it from October of 2026 to about June of 2027. I still think that's the ideal timing because the boom happens in April of 2028. Also during this time, guys, the gold-silver bubble I don't think is actually going to be ending in 2026. So I'll just go ahead and cross out the end date on that. I also think cryptocurrencies will continue to grow and expand. Then I'm also expecting a new super technology in the world in 2029. Now at this stage, I don't actually know what that super technology is going to be. I do believe though it's going to be as powerful as the internet and as important as, say, the smartphone or cloud computing or even AI. In fact, it could even be another AI bubble that takes place at that time. In either case, I'm going to keep you guys ahead of this technology when it comes out. So if you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit subscribe right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot, guys.